Hello everyone, we are going to try this again. Last week at this time, I tried going live with Liker of Words, and there was a glitch. So we're gonna see if we can join again. If not, I'm still gonna be live for the next hour and we'll go into stuff as we can, but let me see. Okay, I'm not seeing her on yet, but we will see, we will see. Until then, hi everybody. Cool. Hello. Hello. How's everybody doing today? Clearly, I'm still in need of caffeine. I just realized I did not post a video before going live. We'll see who joins. Hello. Let's see. I don't see her on yet. We'll find out. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm seeing some of my Patreon group members. Hello. This is actually, I had coffee this morning, and I sometimes have coffee in the afternoons, but this is chai tea. So, yeah. Hello, people who are joining. The party hasn't quite started up yet, so I'm just saying hello to everybody. How's it going? Let's see. Send invites to a few hosts. I don't think I want to do that. I just want to talk to Emily on this one, so we're gonna try again. Good afternoon. Hello, hello. Hi, thanks for joining. Well, it's still only 5, so. Hello, Kentucky. Yay for chai tea. Yeah, I did not make an event for this live, even though Emily and I talked about it, but just because of what happened last week, I didn't know if making an event would cause what happened before to happen again. Hello! I do not live in Maryland, though I used to live in DC. Arizona, hello. Hi, everybody. Hi. Good to see everybody in a way. Rupert as well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, this Mercury in retrograde has been a thing. In fact, that's what we are going to talk about some today, to try and offer some hope and some new ways of thinking that hopefully will help. There was a glitch last week. That's what happened. It was a tech-related glitch through TikTok. That live, though, with just me is posted on YouTube now if you want to catch that, though. A wicked lag on syncing. Well, we're doing our best. Yeah, at the beginning of my lives, if I have a topic to talk about, I typically dive in, but yeah, otherwise, cool. I'm gonna see. Hello, hello. I still don't see her on. Well, it's only 5:02. Mercury is in retrograde. Yeah, that should make sense. I don't know anybody who's really escaped it. It's been a lot. I'm just gonna text her real quick. I'm on. I'm seeing my mods chatting that the live is a little laggy right now. Well, I have full bars on my internet. We actually had an outage last night, so hopefully it's fixed or something. I don't know, is that lagging for a lot of folks? Oh, dang. Yeah, it sounds like some of y'all are having some real Mercury retrograde stuff. Ugh. Yeah, we're gonna be in retrograde until May 14th, so we're like not even 2 weeks in. I feel kind of bad for Mercury as an energy because I feel like all of us down here are just like, Mercury! Um, oh, apparently all lives are doing laggy stuff. Thank you for all of that feedback. Retrograde could be why you are sick and tired, petals. It is a time to slow down and reassess. And if you don't slow down, you will be made to slow down. And that means sickness for a lot of people who have trouble slowing down for themselves. So, yeah, I feel that. Well, I still don't see Emily on there, but since some of you follow her, if you happen to see her go live and then we're still not joining up, let me know so then at least I know that there's a tech issue. Hopefully that will be the end of the tech issues, or it might just be a retrograde thing. Oh, sorry, Paige. I technically wasn't calling you out. I was talking to somebody else. Oh, she's still not on. Thank you, Esmeralda. That's funny how you spell that. Duh. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Who was that? Athena Mermaid? Or Emerald. Okay, cool. Sorry, me being like, bleh. This was actually made by Lala Lotus. We just announced our restock for our jewelry line together, so that's very exciting. Have I ever visited a war battlefield? Oh my goodness, welcome to my page. I have a lot of that content up on YouTube. The longest one was live at Gettysburg, which I had feelings about. But yeah, I've been there. I've been to the Guilford County Courthouse Battleground. I've been to the Moore Creek Bridge Battleground. I've been to Fort Fisher, Fort Macon, other places. Yeah, I've been to them battlegrounds. My goodness. I would love to visit California. Please give to my plane fund. It is on the opposite side of where I am at, so I would love to go to California. The link for the jewelry is going to be on my bio if you are interested. This one in particular, she actually made it for me as a gift. It's not part of the line, but there are others a part of the line. Plus, if you subscribe to my website, I only put out content that, like I'm not even doing weekly stuff right now. I don't know if I will, but right now it's just quarterly. So I won't blow up your inboxes. I would love to go to San Diego. I would love to do a lot of these things. Yeah, so the bus is actually up for sale for those of you who've been following long enough. I miss it very much, though I wanted to live in Wilmington proper, and they have rules against living in your vehicle in Wilmington, which is sad. I understand the complexity of not wanting just everybody to camp out on a sidewalk, but insecurity of housing is a very real thing here, especially after Hurricane Florence, and I'm just, my opinion is they could be doing some better things about how to protect people. But anywho, yeah, for Wild K, yeah, it sounds like you are clairsentient, going to battlefields and feeling that. So, hello, California people. I didn't realize so many people from Cali were on here. Hello. Let's see. Is my aura gold and blue? Typically it's a kind of gold and purple. Some people see white. But yeah. Hello from the Bay Area. I just watched a documentary about the Golden Gate Bridge. As far as California is concerned. That's a question. Did Rupert visit the Guilford County Courthouse battlefield, or did he not want to visit? So the first time we visited, it was kind of jarring for him because, like, we went into the visitors center, and there were like a lot of things that, on a historical perspective, were really cool. But then there are also things that unalived people, and he did not like the energy, and he was just sort of like, "Why do people come to these places?" Um, the second time we went back, though, was a different time of year, and he had gotten a chance to do more thinking. I actually did a video on that. I forget which playlist it's in. It might be the Ghost Gets 2 playlist. It was a park and was rejuvenating. Hello!
I made it!
Yay!
I'm actually connected.
Yeah, I know. I kept looking and I was like, well, I hope this works. We'll
I
see.
know. I know. It's like last time it didn't work at all, and then this time I was on like a panel for something, and it was like going long, and I was like, no, not
Hey,
now,
fancy.
not.
Good for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a Trova trip thing, actually. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Cool.
so I went into that.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're here. We're good.
Yeah. Are all your trips sold out at this point?
They are. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thank you. We're really excited about it. We have more coming up in 2024. Um, that we're gonna do. But yeah, it was cool. So
That I'm actually going to adjust my camera real quick so I'm a little bit more on par with you. So that way when I
okay,
repost it on YouTube, it'll be like a little
more
more
even.
even.
I was trying to do like our normal sitting on the floor thing, and then my tripod was like, "I'm a break," and I was like, "Oh well, we're gonna." You're stacked on top of 3 boxes of tarot cards right now. That's how I'm.
Hey, yeah. It's funny because I've been getting some questions on Mercury in retrograde, and I think that's a perfect way to look at it because um my I, if I could create a motto for what this Mercury in retrograde is, it has been, well, I guess I wasn't supposed to be doing that at that time, huh?
Yup. Exactly. It's so interesting. I was just talking to Krista about this earlier today. Because to me it's like, oh, it has like a weird almost inspiration feeling to it, because it feels like, oh, you're not supposed to be doing this right now, and you want to be like so frustrated about it, but then it's like, but instead you're now over here doing this thing, and you're like, well, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be, you know what I mean?
I would say it
But
can be.
mhm.
It can be because I
Yeah,
know
it's not
there are
guaranteed
people
for
out.
sure.
Yeah, well, there are people out there I'm running into, some in my personal life, but also in my Patreon group, as well
Mhm.
as my consultations, people who they have been fighting for so long and
Yeah.
and they're fighting a good fight, and
Hmm.
it's like they don't always know how to not fight anymore or to fight for themselves rather than fight against everything else around them.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
yeah, it can be hard. Like, that's the thing.
Hmm.
I've had to adjust a lot of my routines that I would have, and I just have like I have a big post-it note of all the things that I want to get done. And
Hmm.
it's wild. I'll be like 3/4 of the way done on a project, right? And then something will shut down, and I'll be like, okay, looks like I need to do the next thing on the
We're
list.
gonna
I
switch
will
it up then.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I'll just go back to that because it's still written there on the post-it note. Cool. I'll just go to the next one. And then I'll go like 3 down at some point and then go back and be like, oh, great. The site is up again. I can go back to it. Awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been doing the same. It's been really interesting. I will say too, and this one has been coming up in my Patreon group with clients, things like that. A lot of body stuff, which is also technology. It's just biotech that keeps us alive. So a lot of like health stuff, body stuff. Like be sure to rest. In my like forecast for the week, I was like, please drink water, everybody. Like drink as much, like drink water, please. Like it's the time for that so much, because genuinely that's how that's how it's feeling, is like, oh, if that's the tech too, we want to maintain that.
That's a perfect way to describe that. I had the
Mhm.
weirdest thing happen. I think it was in part we had this huge storm system roll through on Saturday because the closer it got to the storm, the more my head felt like it was outside of my head.
Mm,
And I was so drained. And I wanted to film on Saturday, and I was like, it's not going to happen.
nope.
Like, I could have 3 cups of coffee and go at it. Really, I stayed in bed. I think I napped on and off for about 6 hours during the day, and then I went to sleep early. The thing is, though, this is so different from my behavior in the past because
Hmm.
it used to be I would just fight it and fight it and fight it and be like, oh, I can just have another coffee. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. Instead, I was like, okay, I can reschedule filming. I can
Hmm.
reschedule filming and I can lay down and I can sleep and I can watch some documentaries because I loved me some documentaries. Um, and go figure, on Sunday, I felt like a different person. I was
Hmm.
just 100% right back. And I was just like, wow, it's like I listened to what my body needed and it worked.
Imagine that, Rebecca.
Whoa.
Oh, I love it. Just really quick, because I had just 3 people ask in a row. I do have room still in my group reading on Friday. Since everyone just asked, I just wanted to answer that really quick since there was a couple of you. Yes, there's still a couple of spaces. You can go ahead and check that out on the clicky place where you can click things.
Magical clicky place.
The magical clicky place.
So
uh,
oh, I don't know if you're about to get into something.
no, I'm good. I'm good. What's up?
Okay. I had this question a few times before, a little ways back in my comments, which thanks everybody for commenting. I am reading those and we will respond to them as we can. Somebody asked, what is up with Mercury in retrograde? Like, what exactly is that? How it affects us? And one of the things that we talked about today was going into ways to make not just this Mercury in retrograde, but like a lot of people are having a really hard time with a lot of things right
Mhm.
now. So finding magic in everyday life, finding inspiration, finding hope, not in the sense of toxic positivity, but reality. Where is this hope? What are we working towards? Why does it matter? Kind of thing. But going back to Mercury in retrograde, from what I understand, Mercury has a very shorter year cycle, like around the sun. And so, or like, is it around the sun or is it like,
It is. Yeah. So
okay,
Mercury's the closest planet basically to the sun. So it goes around basically the quickest.
so every 40, what it's like an 88-day cycle. And from our night sky, it makes it look like when it's coming back around, it makes it look like it's going backwards. And so astrologists and astronomers have said that is in a retrograde. And it just
Hmm.
so happens that because we are all connected by source, what have you, etc., that we are directly affected by these things. Believe it or don't believe, but you got to admit, like, there are some
Yeah.
things lining up right now for a lot of people. So you do not have to believe, at least
Yeah.
be observant.
Yeah. I mean, at the very root of it, like the planets have pull on our gravity, which we can actually track scientifically. And if you're underneath gravity, you're being pulled on. Like you're being yanked around. Like that's just just like without even a spiritual connection there, that's what's going on. And yeah, so if you imagine like, and I'm not an astrologer either, but just from my understanding of this, if you were looking at the night sky and the planets going around the sun, just take the sun out of the middle, and when the planet would go around this way, it would look like it's now going backwards. That's what we consider retrograde. And with Mercury going retrograde, all the things that Mercury governs go backwards. Just like if Saturn were to go into retrograde or Mars or whatever, you name it, they go backwards, which is often it's a very interesting experience. This one is especially amped up though because we also have eclipse season at the same time. So we're sitting in the middle of eclipse season plus it's Mercury retrograde. With Mercury governs things like technology, communication, and travel, those kinds of things. So that's where we end up having our most pain points during retrograde. Those are the things that get disrupted, the things that Mercury is kicking. Those are the things. And that's what everyone feels. And like I said, we're in the middle of eclipse season, which is an already like really activated time, usually of the universe deciding what things we need to shed, release, or manifest. It's like very much universal control time. And with Mercury retrograde in that too, it's just a lot of people are feeling very much like everything is out of your control. That's where that is coming from. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I'm not an
Makes sense to
astrologer.
me.
That is just like my breakdown based on what Crystalline has said. If you want deep astrology on this, go to @therealCrystalline. Crystalline's got you. This is just us trying to help you understand the like physics of the energy that we're seeing.
Yes. And also, because I had a question about, if either of us did astrology, that answers for both of us no.
Yeah.
But if you go to my YouTube or if you go to any of my followers following, you will find @therealCrystalline. Recommend her for sure. And we talked about some
Yeah.
astrology stuff in a live about 3 weeks ago or something like that. So she's on my YouTube as well, and her YouTube is tagged and all that good stuff. What?
They, them,
Oh,
they, them.
I'm sorry. Thank
No,
you. They, them. Okay, okay. Thank you for that correction.
yes, totally
Okay,
okay. I just
also
wanted.
exciting. Got it. Okay.
But yeah, on a personal level and an energetic level, things that we can talk to because we are not, that's the stuff we deal with. Mercury retrograde makes you slow down. It
Mhm,
makes you pay attention to different things. I always use it as a way to see stuck points in my own narrative about myself. Because again, communication, when you have communication about myself, um, that that is what ends up getting disrupted. So a lot of times my most personal ahas about things I need to work on, things I need to see come during times of Mercury retrograde. And also like it's not the big bad guy. It's not like some boogeyman hiding in your closet. This was always going to happen. It's going to happen 3 more times this year. Like we're all going to be fine. We're all going to get through it. It's just something to like pay attention to the energy themes, you know?
mhm, mhm. Um, I've been doing, like, for me, part of my retrograde, besides like randomly getting sick and being like, oh, I should sleep because I am tired. Or I also did an extra cleansing on my house recently because I was like, I'm feeling a lot of feelings that are not mine. Something has leaked through, and so I had to put a lot of, no, not a lot of, but just like another extra umph of like, okay, energy. Like, let's just acknowledge what's mine and what's not. Um, but looking at, goodness, my dreams have been
Dude.
telling me some things about reality and stuff, and it's been a wild time waking up in the mornings and being like, oh, I guess I have to handle that. Got it.
Uh-huh. Me too. Yeah, dream space has been well, I think this is so I don't think this is necessarily a specifically associated with the eclipse in Mercury retrograde, but I think dreams have been really activated right now in a lot of ways. I also think spiritual energy in general is hyperactivated right now. But it's not like, oh, the veil is thin right now. It's going to get thick again. I think this is just going to keep being the new normal and new normal and new normal as far as spiritual activity goes. It's just going to keep kind of going up. And us as little humans are going to have to navigate that, however that shows up. So that's like, yeah, we're really starting to feel it. People are really starting to notice it. But it's more like, when you have like a pain in your back and that pain gradually becomes noticeable, it's not like that pain just started being noticeable. It's been there for 4 weeks and then now finally you're feeling it. It's that kind of thing. It's we're going back to a long time ago sort of energy in a lot of ways and a reconnection sort of energy in a lot of ways and a renewal in a lot of ways. And I think that's a lot of the reason people are like, wow, dreams are very intense or like a spirit sneaking through makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
My fairy stuff I've got going on. Just
Yeah, from what
thing.
I've been hearing, like between your podcast, which everybody should go listen to, and like other things that you've talked about with your fairy stuff, I'm just like, I'm just along for the ride. I'm just like, what happened this week? Like,
Dude, I don't know. It goes like 1 week I'm play fighting with a god, and then the next week there's fairy growing random trees out of my potted plants. Like it is.
yeah, yeah.
We're just doing it. Oh.
Yeah. One, I wanted to acknowledge in my chat, a lot of people are talking about the dreams that they have had recently. Um,
Hmm.
and it's interesting you mentioned like the energy and the shift and that kind of thing. It was about October, November of 2022 that I had started feeling like a shift that was going to be happening, like energetically, that was coming in the winter and moving into the early spring. And at first, I was kind of concerned because the shift was kind of mucky, and I almost felt like it was spiritual plane trying to close off a little bit more because everybody was getting so involved and everybody was talking all at once and like all this stuff. And then closer to it, it felt more like instead of there being like a this, it was more like a this. And
Hmm.
so there's been more gray area for communication with a variety of things out there. Doesn't feel bad. I just think a lot of people, they're trying to navigate it in different ways, and when they're not giving enough to themselves first, it's easy to
Mhm.
get exhausted or lost, or just the uncertainties and the fears and that sort of thing. Have you been seeing that?
Yeah, it just feels like more. It doesn't feel bad. It just feels like more. There's just more layers to things and more energy to things. I actually have a video I filmed this last week that I was planning on posting, kind of about the same topic, which I know you have some kind of in the same vein as well. But talking about how like especially a lot of people are feeling almost nostalgia for the lockdown time where everything was quiet and you had the space to do the things you wanted to do. And a lot of people tapped into spirituality and started doing it, but it was in a way that was aligned at the time because we had the quiet, we had the space, we had the energy. And then we got thrown back into doing work and world and existing and that sort of thing. And it got people's scales really tipped in really disbalanced and disproportionate ways. Either they really swung away from spirituality, much to their own frustration, or they really swung into spirituality, but in a way that self-sacrificed because the only time they had to do it was the time that was also for themselves and like really kind of did the opposite. And I feel like that's kind of what we're putting into focus during this time, like eclipse season time of like, hey, we're going to get back into balance. And the reason you're feeling nostalgic for this is because you need to have energy for this. And I think the energy is there, but it can't just be give, give, give. Like, does that make sense?
It does. That actually was a thought that crossed my mind like literally today. I was like, man, when we were still like not fully open, like I had a lot more views and that sort of thing. And of course, I'd rather have a safe openness over views. Please understand. But also, I know that's also a direct effect of the
Yeah.
algorithm. A lot of
Hmm.
people in 2021, they were looking out. They
Yeah.
wanted inward and outward, and now spirituality, it's now, back to the capitalist grind and that kind of thing, which I think part of what all of that was about was to teach us what was important. And now we're
Hmm.
at a place where we have to decide, is what we decided that was important, like spirituality, trust in self, family, friends, those who are close to our tight circles. How does that fit into a world that's trying to shove us back into 2019?
Yeah. Hmm. Very much so. And I do think that's just it, is we're getting that diametrically opposed energy of so many people are like, wow, I want to move forward. But then the world's like, society's like, no, 2019 was where it's at. And we're all like, I don't think so. And so there's this like very odd tension thing. It's kind of like implementation space. And the other thing I want to say, if you're like, man, I really want to get in touch with that, and like you're feeling disbalanced, but you like want to reconnect with your spirituality in that way because like you miss that, ask your guides to bring the resources you need for that. Like genuinely, it doesn't have to be in your hands to figure out exactly the way that you're going to navigate this. Like, by all means, ask your guides. For me, they usually bring them to me via the books that I read next. Like, I'll be like, all right, what's the next one I'm reading? Oh, this one, I guess. This is what I need next. And it totally will work. But that's just my own system. But like, whatever it is for you, like, ask them for that resource to help you get in connection again. Cause it doesn't have to be, you don't have to put that pressure on yourself. And that's kind of the antithesis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a question that just came to my mind, and it's something I'm sure you've come up in your readings and I've seen, is when people say, but I have been asking my guides, and they don't see the things that they're receiving. What would you say to those people?
First, figure out if you have a resistance to receiving help. Uh,
Oh, that was good.
sorry. Yeah, because a lot of people have a resistance to receiving help. They have limiting beliefs around like receiving help is negative. Receiving help means that I'm not doing well enough. Whatever, it's dangerous. Some people literally have the limiting belief like if I receive help, that's dangerous to me. I now owe something to whatever. I would look into that. And then if you have that block coming up, start working on that. Also pay attention to all your different energy or all your different senses, because maybe you're getting sent, getting sent signs, but they aren't the physical signs. They're with music, or try asking for different signs with different things. I did, someone just commented this too, thank you, Esmeralda. I just made a YouTube video all about this, like how to connect with your guides based on your naturally most strong clairsense. So it literally came out, I think, yesterday. I don't even know what day of the week it is. It came out then, but it's brand new. So if you want to know not only what your clairsenses are, but how to connect with your guides using that clairsense to make it easy, there's
Love
that.
that.
But honestly, yeah, that's the biggest thing is if you have a block around receiving help.
That was the perfect plug. I'm glad that I was able to, and you filled it
Thank
in.
you.
That was perfect.
What do
And
you
for,
think though? What do you usually respond to with that?
so, often, like, I look at things like how we may not be receiving the way that we want, or
Mm-hmm.
we may, like, a great example that I ran across recently was somebody, they were like, to, I want bells. And their
Mm.
guides were like, okay. And they started sending them bell sounds.
I was just
But
gonna say, did they send images when they wanted sounds, or did they send sounds when they wanted images?
see, and that's the thing. I think they were expecting like a bell to show up on their doorstep, which is not impossible. All the same, like it took them a while to kind of adjust their thinking to be open minded to there can be a lot of different signs for bells. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing I suggested to the same person, but regularly to others too, is once you start realizing the signs, like write them down or something, because so often we get
Mm-hmm.
caught up in the day to day that we forget of what happened like literally yesterday, and we look at today and we're like, well, I want to sign today, I want to sign that, you're around today, and they might be like, well, we gave you one yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did you forget about that? That took effort. Like,
Also, like, time is weird for them, so they're like, I already gave it to you. They're like, you're like, I want it today, and they're like, yeah, I gave it to you, and you're like, that was 4 days ago, man. And they're like,
mhm.
oh, I don't know. Time's weird, so that's a
I
big important
I've
thing too.
been saying that so much, like in recent weeks. I've just been like, time is weird. Time is weird. It's
Hmm.
emotional time over like physical time at this point. So, by the way, to your comment on accepting help, so many people in my comments were they were just like called out, ouch, like that hurt. It so happens. Today in my community group, I do regular like weekly posts of questions so that people can reflect on things. And I asked, how have you been able to help another, and how have you accepted help for yourself? And so many people, especially spiritualists, and I used to come from this class of folks too, where I would feel like my purpose was to help so much that I would not help
Hmm.
myself. And so it was just dipping from an empty pot over and over and over again. And I think about this and I think a few things, one of which is it hypocritical to give help without accepting help? Because that says that you're a trustworthy person, but other people are not trustworthy. So why would they? It's one of those things. Just a consideration. But another thing is exactly what you mentioned. It's asking and being open to it and not calling out, not expecting things. If somebody's a cruel person to you, don't talk to them again if you can help it. Don't help them again. You make a boundary. You say,
Hmm.
you messed with me. There's a consequence for that. Boundary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, the more you write stuff down or even just acknowledge when things pop through or validate for yourself too, if you are asking your guides, ask your guides random questions throughout the day, just random questions and see what you go through your senses. What do you see, sense, hear, feel, know, taste, smell when you ask what you should have for lunch? Like, and that's if you're like, oh, okay, I got a weird salty taste in my mouth. Cool, acknowledge that. Be like, this is something that came up, or I just know that I saw a bag of potato chips, or I heard the sound of the celery crunching. Like, I don't know, whatever it is that comes in. And it might be completely chaotic. It might not even relate to lunch. Those are just examples. But that's an easy way too. The more you can acknowledge and validate just even little things, the more and more and more you turn the volume up.
It's creating a new habit. You're
Yeah.
consciously having to tell your subconscious that you're paying attention.
Yeah. Basically. Hmm.
So, yeah, cool. Love that advice. All of this. Okay, so one, because if I don't know if your comment section are saying anything, I don't want to keep talking over if they're chiming in with things.
Mostly people are just validating each other, which is cool. So
Yeah, same
love
over
it.
here. Very cool.
Love it, love it. It's amazing. Super awesome. I know we were talking a little bit before we hopped on. We're like, what should we, what are some things we want to talk about? And of course, naturally, things are just going to come up that we talk about, as what usually happens on these lives. One thing we did definitely want to talk about though is like just like infusing your life with little magics, or like how can you find more magic around, especially right now when things are not super fun all the time for everyone. This week has been weird to me. I don't know if this is the same thing for you, but like Monday, I was like, I'm sad and I'm emotional and things are grumpy. And then Tuesday, I'm like, I feel so good and I am so confident and everything is awesome. And then yesterday, I'm like, I'm sad and I'm emotional and everything is grumpy. And then today, I'm like, I've been killing it. Things are great. I'm like, why? Why is this occurring? Like, why are we doing this level of yo-yo? So I don't know if that's the same with you, but it's been a weird week, and so I've been looking for little magic a lot.
Yeah, that's really funny you mentioned that because it sounds like my days were opposite of yours, where like
Mhm.
my sad days were the opposite of my happy days, and
Cool,
it's just
cool,
been.
cool. Yeah. So just if you're feeling a little bit like a ping pong ball, yeah.
We got you. We see you.
Uh, And so what I mean by like little magic, at least for me, where I've been annoyed at my guides lately, not because they haven't been giving me what they wanted, they totally have been, or what I've wanted, they totally have been, but I've been like, I want to do the next thing. Like I want to up level. I want the next magic ability to open up, whatever. And they've been like, cool. What are you doing for that? Like, what are we gonna do? Which is amazing. So I've been trying very hard to like, again, I've read a lot of really magical books lately and I've been getting wisdom from that or asking them like, can you help me with just one magical thing working out today? Anything like that. And then just noting it when it occurs has been very helpful when you feel out of control.
Yes, yes. A few things. I have a little notebook. I only started it recently, but after consultations, I just write little notes for myself.
Hmm.
And when I just get things seemingly out of the ether that there's truly no way of knowing, and the person's there with it, and they're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I write down validation or validated, and I have a highlighter, and I go through, and like over time, as I flip through the book, I see it more and more and more and more and more. And so if
Hmm.
ever I'm feeling down, I'm like, I can do this. And I recommend doing that for like anything in life, not just like spiritual-esque things, but celebrate yourself.
Hmm.
It's worth it. And that's why writing things down is great. Other thing that we did, little magics, my Patreon community, we have at least one social call a month. We usually end up having two, but we have one like sponsored social call. When I say sponsored, I mean like I always plan it and show up. But this past week was show and tell, and
Mm.
everybody could just show and tell some stuff, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see what mattered to people, and I show and tell to rock. It was a
As you
rock from
would.
my family farm. Yeah,
I
it's just
love
like
it.
it's my rock.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
I think that was one of the more basic things. A lot of people had like super old books that they showed off, old watches. Bones showed up in the chat. It was really cool. And I think looking back on that now, how I feel how useful that was, whether we realized it or not at the time, because all of this stuff is going on and we were able to share these little trinket funny things with one another that had stories and energy, and it was a really good time. So kind of reconnecting with what matters. I stare out my window a lot. That's magic for me. I really love the Cape Fear River, and I love green and sky and that. So I find magic in little things such as like losing myself to a window for like a while. So
Love it. I am a treasure hunty human. Not saying like in the cultural appropriation way, but in like the I look around for sparkly things on the ground all day long, every day way. And I will always ask, like, okay, help me find something magical today, which is usually like a flower or, like a paper clip or, maybe a pretty little piece of quartz that someone, that we're we're in granite country, so there's quartz everywhere. But something like that, or smooth stone, or whatever it is. And that is a really fun and easy way to have the little magic sort of come in. And again, ask your guides to support that, or even ask the area that you're in to support that. If you're by the river, or you're in the meadow, or even if you're just walking in the park or whatever, just be like, whatever, whoever's here, I just wanted to honor you. Thank you. Like, if you could help me with this, I'm trying to have some magic in my day. You'd be surprised what entities and beings out there are motivated by. Usually people being like, I'm seeking magic. They're like, I got this. Like, we can do magic.
And that goes
Which is
back
great.
to not only asking for help, but being open to accepting it when it comes. That's perfect. And that can be small. There's not a huge, danger in that. And if
Mhm.
you're worried about working with people right now, okay, go out in nature. Like,
Mhm.
it's all kinds of fun.
Right. Right. I will also say you can look for treasure in your dreams, since dreams have been wonky too. Ask for treasures in your dreams. Oftentimes you'll get something weird, but it'll be a treasure that someone wanted to give you.
See, now I want to get a little extra with my dreams just to be like, hey, the next time I have a dream of like something subconscious that I thought I had dealt with that apparently I have not dealt with, or I still have fear or something over, can you send me like something random in the dream so I can be like, oh, I'm not dying, I'm just learning. That would be great. Just a
Hmm.
little bit of lucid, just to be like, ah, got it. Okay, I can see this out and I'll be
I
okay.
can
Okay.
navigate this. No, for sure. That's a perfect thing to ask for, like an anchor point.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Inception, I thought was a great film.
Hmm.
Just very, very channeled in some parts. I was like, this is okay.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. In dreams too, you can also ask for a feeling, even if you don't want, like, if you're not super visual with your dreams, you never remember your dreams, just ask for them to leave you with the feeling.
Yep,
That's another way of getting treasure, for sure.
yep.
Um, yeah. I did have just a bunch of questions come through on the comments right as we were talking about that, so I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and that is actually great ways to heal your inner child. Someone just asked advice about inner child healing. Little Magicks is really, really helpful. Do the things that little you would have loved to do when a parent told you no. That's a big one.
That's something too. And I think you mentioned it in a video as well. To especially when feeling lost and feeling like things are entirely out of control.
Hmm.
Think back to a time where you were happy. And, it doesn't always have to be this capitalist idea of I was out of debt. Okay, that's cool. Like, happy for anybody who's out of debt, believe me. But it can be little things. I talked to someone today about, because their guide wanted them to do some homework and we worked on that and we're going to meet at another time. But it was just like the most simple of answers came. It's like, oh, I was by this tree, like I felt very happy by this tree. And I was like, okay. So oftentimes when trying to figure out a direction forward, one way that I look at it is, okay, well, where am I happy? Where have I been happy in my life? Where can I find the threads of that feeling to follow and actually pull, like, me going forward and the manifestation coming here? How does that meet? I really, from a clear sentient level and also a bit of clear cognizant level, I feel that sometimes where I'm just like, okay, I'm looking for this feeling today. So I feel it
Hmm.
emotionally and I'm like, where does it go? And I
Hmm.
just I follow as I can. Sometimes that's just like walking outside. Sometimes that's like I'm gonna get in my car and I feel like I need to take a left at the light. Okay, like
Hmm.
worth a
Yeah.
shot.
Or you can even do it more simply with like grocery store. Like where's that feeling leading you in the grocery store if you don't necessarily have the space to go adventuring or anything like that.
Yeah,
You can do that as well. Hmm.
I think even online, like I've
Hmm.
talked to people about that as well. I call them intuitive web searches, where it's just like, hey, trust your guides. Be like, put some. Sometimes I put in a magic what if. What if you knew what your
Hmm.
guide was thinking? What would they say to put in the search bar?
Yep.
And it's not
Totally.
that the what if, the idea is to tell the brain to calm down and be like, what if I'm just a magical person and I could just do this right now? What would I do?
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. I genuinely believe that half of spirituality is teaching your brain how to shut up so that the other stuff can come through. That's genuinely half of it. Because like half of tuning into your guides is just making your brain stop talking.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Yep.
you know, it's funny. I've come to a place where because I'm going to be posting some more my spirit guide turnip. I'm going to be posting more content on her coming up.
Hmm.
Patreons, you already got that pre-release, but it's funny with her. Like for so much of my life, I wanted to be told, like I was good enough and I look good enough and I am good enough and I'm talented enough and all this stuff. And now I'm at a place in my life where I'm like, yeah, I am that. And she walks in and being like, I mean, are you? And I'm like, yes, I am. You know that I am. And she's just like, yeah, I know, but I just thought I'd question you about it today and see what you felt. And I'm just like, what?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
P.S. for anybody out there who's like, oh man, I hope my guide isn't like that. My guide is working on me at a place that I am at right now, which is to defend myself and not in a like bad way, but just in a like, no, I am. I'm good. That's my journey right now. It wasn't
Mhm.
always that way.
Very fair. Very fair. Yeah, our guides meet us where we're at and what we're needing, for sure. And
Mhm.
it evolves over
Mhm.
time, big time. It evolves a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
I
yeah,
should
and
have
not
been like
letting your
that when
brain
I
get in
was
the way.
25. Just cried all the time. I'd be like, my guide hates me. I wasn't working with her when I was 25.
Apparently not. She'd be like, "Oh, okay, you won't feel that." I just want to say someone asked if we're going to upload this to YouTube, and we will, because I know a couple of people jumped in late and are mentioning that. So we have a couple of the questions as far as like, what do you do if no answers come from your guides? We already talked about that. So there's a couple of people have asked that. So I just want to circle back around. We did touch about that, and that'll be on Rebekah's YouTube, maybe my YouTube. We'll probably, I don't know, figure that out. It'll be on one of ours. Look it out. Or
Yeah,
both.
so long as the upload comes through fine, mine will be uploaded probably by tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I will tag you and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, they'll probably be on mine as well. I don't know. If the upload comes through fine. I'm really holding space for that right now by not committing. That's what I'm trying to do. It's like, yeah, it'll definitely come up on one of ours for sure.
yeah,
Um,
I love that idea. It's like one of ours.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, absolutely. Also, when in doubt, pay attention to your other signs, like your other signs, your other senses. That's always the place to go, especially if your brain won't shut up. Pay attention to your other senses. You have a whole bunch of them.
Mhm.
Your taste, your smell, your physical feeling, your emotional feeling, your hearing, you name it.
And I know you have courses on that online.
Hmm.
I have courses on that through Patreon, and a variety of different kinds of things that are accessible now. So,
Yeah.
uh, okay. Question. One of the things we talked about, where do you find your hope right now?
Currently, she's downstairs because one of my
I was
no,
like, I asked that question, then I was like, your guide's name is.
yeah, now she's up here. She just popped into the side over here. She's like, not downstairs anymore. One of my main guides is Hope. She's my main protector. I have multiple. She hangs out. She likes protecting my physical space more than anything else. And she came into the room because you asked for her. Um,
Hello.
that's where Hope is. Um, she's literally, you can't see her. She's like off camera. She's like standing like right over there, like staring at me. And my eyes are getting all twitchy because, anyway. Um, Honestly, where I've been throwing a lot of my hope and energy is in things that make me uh, feel smiley and cuddly, is what I'm going to put it. I've been reading so many magical realism books lately because with magical realism, it reminds me that literally nothing is impossible, especially even in our reality that we currently have. Nothing is impossible. That is a construct. It's a really deep construct, but we can figure that out. And trying to pull some of that in. And it also reminds you of how powerful you are innately or how powerful I am. And so I've been pulling a lot of like hope and how to navigate things going forward from my immediate community, from people in general that I really care about. I've been watching the movies that remind me of how beautiful people can be to one another, those sorts of things, and focusing more on human to human interaction than narrative that I cannot confirm because it is given to us, etc. type of interaction. What about you?
I too, one is the generation of Gen Zers and Generation Alpha. They're so aware.
Mm-hmm.
They're so aware and they care so much about how things are right now, what needs to be fixed. And
Mm-hmm.
they have a knack for it the way that I didn't get for myself until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Um, I feel for them a lot because they are certainly going through a lot. There's a lot that they are fighting for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much magic that is there, and it's inspirational. Um,
Totally.
I'd say
It's
that,
amazing.
yeah, that and nature. It's really good for me. I mean, I live near the beach, so I try to get out there when I can and looking at the river. And one of the lessons that I've channeled from the Cape Fear River out here is she's not worried. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're they've been pouring, and I'm a part of a group that's here, the Cape Fear River Watch, and we're trying to clean up the river because they've been pouring a chemical in her for like 30 years at this point. They've since stopped, but that's only because the locals were like, no, we're going to hold you accountable for this. That, like, she doesn't deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
I think about, though, when I was talking with her about it, and I was like, how do you feel about that? And she was just like, I've been here longer than any of you. I'm going to be here
Mm-hmm.
longer than any of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what's wild. Like, it's a weird thing to be hopeful about when she's just like, "There's going to be a hurricane. It's going to come. It's going to be bad, and I will be fine." And I was like, "Great. What about the rest of us?" She's like, "Not my responsibility." I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Got it."
Yep.
So, but there's a weird hope in that. It's regenerative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have also been laying a lot of my hope on the fact of like, oh, we have water right now. Like it feels so nice because it's spring and there's water flowing and it feels really, really lovely. Like obviously we had a huge, humongous winter, but it's nice to have water in that space. Animals, that kind of thing. I love the fact that summer's coming up and leaning into that of like the world feeling awake again. That feels really, really nice. I've been and definitely appreciating that. And again, yeah, I looking to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I really love the energy there. My daughter, my 13-year-old this morning was like, Mom, this morning my phone wouldn't work and I had to turn it off, turn it back on multiple times, and it finally worked. It was so weird. And then I remembered that stupid planet thing.
You and me both.
Correct, my dear. It is the stupid planet thing.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, she's 13. I wouldn't have said that when I was 13. Like I felt all sorts of random stuff when I was 13 and never would have mentioned anything like that. So it's really neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Also, just guides and spirits and energy and different energies, different things. Like the amount of spiritual energy, I've also been getting a lot of hope in because I'm like, cool, you guys are gonna do stuff. Like there's stuff coming up. Like there is a lot of like spiritual presence and energy and things that they're doing their own things, and that doesn't require our participation whatsoever. So it's been interesting to witness some of that too, which was also very hopeful.
yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
have a last question for you,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can answer it too. But because I know you have had times in your life where you've had to do some overhauls in order to find your peace and your balance.
Hmm.
Um, Looking back at that, because I know a lot of people are doing that right now, if you could give yourself some advice as you now to that Emily, what would that be?
Hmm. The amount of happy you can be is not contingent upon how many other people approve of it or that you make happy by product. I would say that for sure, because oftentimes we when we do overhauls, especially, we're like, this is for my happiness. And then you feel awful because other people feel awful about it. So I would love to have given Emily that. Also, follow the fun, I would say, which I say to everyone all the time. That's a big one. And probably just to stop asking for permission all the time for everything, constantly. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably those.
I love that. I love
I was
that.
like, which overhaul?
Yeah, that's also relevant. Uh,
Which one of the 7 that I've done? I'm very
right.
much I'm going to try it until it breaks and it doesn't work. And if I've tried it doesn't work, I'm just doing the next thing anyway type of person, which I know that is not the common way of approaching things. So get comfortable in the uncomfortable all the
Mhm.
time.
Well, yeah, it's easier to flow like for this period if you're just kind of like, well, this is what I want and I really want it. Though
Hmm.
getting there might look a little bit funny because it might not be exactly the way that I planned. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say for that advice for me, the words chill out come to mind. I liked what you said about the fun. One of my, I mean, Turnip, she's always asking me, is it fun? And I'm like, I, I, I don't know. And she's just like, well, if it's not fun, why would you do it? And I'm like, well, because I have to pay my bills. And she's like, so living here is fun. And I'll be like, yeah. And she's like, so it's fun, right? You're making money to do this, have this. And I was just like, yes, yes, it is. Like she was the one
Like,
talking to me about my taxes. And she was just like, it's fun, right? You get to know how much money you made last year. And I'm like, yeah, and then I got to pay my taxes. And she's just like, but then you get to know how much money you made last year. Success. And I was just like, right, fun. Got it. Fun taxes. Okay. Um so
I love it.
her mentality. But anyway, follow the fun, find the fun. Um
Mhm.
say no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
I want to say like stand up for yourself, though I feel like in saying no,
Hmm.
that's doing just that.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. For sure. For sure.
Last
I will
thing.
say a lot of people are very much feeling on the precipice of making big shifts and transitions though too. One thing that's been coming up and that keep seeing for people though, instead of the transitions that have been thrust upon us over the last couple of years, these ones are more ones that we're choosing for ourselves. In a
Mhm.
lot of ways, not all of them. I'm not putting a blanket statement. This is definitely a theme that I keep seeing coming up. So, if you're in that space, choosing it for yourself is good.
Yeah,
Choosing it for yourself is enjoyable. Lean into it.
that's very relevant to times that I felt in my life where I was just like, can somebody just make a decision for me? Can my guides just come in and do the thing? And there is a
The
lot
quickest
of
way to hear your guides tell you no is that. If you want to hear your guides be like, no,
yeah,
do that.
the most straightforward thing. No, um, there is there is power is a word to describe it, but also an amount of trust when guides
Hmm.
are like, hey, you get to decide. You made it this far, and now you get to decide. And
Hmm.
so, what I mentioned before, sometimes looking in the past to figure out where that magic is, where it has been, where it could be in the future, and following that.
Hmm.
I feel a lot of energy of our spiritual folks, whether they be guides, past loved ones, deities. They're it's like they're wanting to work with us this time. They're kind of like, okay, well, you made it this far. What do you want?
Do
Decide
something.
something. Yeah, just
Hmm.
don't like blow up something, but just like what do you want? Like
Hmm.
we can help with that. Um,
Yeah.
change doesn't have to be scary. It's just sort of after a while when you do it enough times, it's just less scary. But
Hmm.
I know immediately it can be scary. I know that because I have moved so many times in the last decade. I've done a lot, but you learn to roll with it. What did you say? What did you
I
see?
just had a, I just, someone asked a fabulous question and I don't even know how to answer it, so I'm going to ask it to you first.
Okay.
What fictional character do you feel represents you? Hmm. I know. I was like, shit. I don't know. Um, the, I feel like there's different fictional characters that represent different elements of myself. There's not one where I'm like, that's me. That's all that's totally me. Um, yeah, definitely different elements stuff. I just finished reading The 10,000 Doors of January and I really identified with the character of January. That's a big one. Um, Another one of my favorite books is Fable. It's called Fable by Adrian Young. I was like, it's coming. The name is coming. I really identify with Fable quite a bit. Quite a bit. A lot. Yeah, those are close ones, I guess.
Ah, it's funny, like when I watch movies with friends, we'll like cast
Mhm.
ourselves in the movie or
That's
the show that
treacherous.
we're watching. It's fun. And then especially when like a character dies off, you're like, oh, should we drink to you? Like, and now I'm trying to go through all of that and be like, what was I cast in recently?
Love it.
I'm
Yeah,
so drawing a blank. That's such a good question.
I know. Well, now you're gonna have to think about it, and you're gonna have to make a whole video about why you
I guess so.
character. Oh, that's hilarious. Yep. I mean that is like those are the closest I've got. That's not by any means the ones where I'm like totally that person.
Hmm.
But and it's also I will also say usually the characters if you're trying to think of yourself as like casting yourself as a fictional character or the character that you relate most with, it's probably not the ones that other people would pick for you. Because it's the different edges of personality, right? So like it's the what you're presenting versus how you actually view yourself are very very different things. Yeah, it was a great question. Thank you for asking. That was fabulous.
Fantastic question. I'm just gonna have
Hmm.
to leave this on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good one though. I really appreciate that. Someone also asked, what movies make you feel warm and fuzzy? Since we talked about that briefly. Do you have movies of that? I have been watching one of my all-time, I have a very weird taste in films. I'm just going to put it that way because usually it's based off of energy. So one of my all-time favorite movies is Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga, the Will Ferrell movie on Netflix. Fucking love it. I've watched it so many times. I can't even tell you. Every time I have a bad day, that's what goes on. Um, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga is the full title.
Okay.
It's long. I highly recommend it. It's fabulous. There's elves. It's great.
Well, that.
um, that's a good one. I will also, as far as like Disney movies, because there's always, weird in my taste of those ones for comfort movies too. Frozen 2, the second one specifically. Brother Bear, again, the spiritual ones. And then The Hunchback of Notre Dame because I grew up Catholic.
The soundtrack on that one.
Incredible. It's the best.
I actually reposted something from it's a YouTube channel called Cinema Theory, and it was about religious abuse, and they used Hunchback of Notre Dame as an example, and I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Yeah, my mom didn't like it growing up, and I never understood why. Then I became an adult, and I loved it. And I was like, now I know why she hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it.
I
What about
love that
you?
movie. One of my favorites. I would say for Disney, Lion King, because I can get my laughs and my cries out all in 90 minutes.
Very fair. Very fair.
It was my favorite movie as a kid. I kid you not, I can quote the entire thing. It's a special skill that I have on my resume if you ever find me auditioning for theater. But anyway, that, and also recently there's a movie, it's based on the book Persuasion by Jane Austen. It's
Mhm.
the one that they made on Netflix, like in 2022, I think. For any of you hardcore Jane Austen fans, you will probably not like it because it's in period but not historically accurate, and the wording, the verbiage is more modern. I love that. I didn't expect to love this movie that much. I've watched it more than a few times because it's just I'm able to watch it. I can be chill while I watch it. I can laugh, I can also get my cries out, and I don't have to be
Hmm.
invested in the movie, but it makes me feel good.
Hmm. I get it. Completely get it. But yeah, lean into that, you guys. When things feel wibbly wobbly, lean into things that help you feel cozy. I cannot recommend that enough. That's awesome.
And I'd say, as the last thing, y'all reach out to each other. You
Hmm.
got people, look for
Yeah,
them, ask them, ask
totally.
guides. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Rebecca and I also both run like Patreon groups if you want to like connect with more spiritual people. We both have those. Um, I'm doing stuff on YouTube now. Rebecca has a very awesome YouTube. Rebecca's been doing stuff on YouTube forever. I'm just like, yeah, here we go. So like,
That's
go
how I
check hers
started.
out
I
for
was just
sure.
like, sure.
This is the thing I do now. So that. I'm also doing a group reading tomorrow. If you guys want a reading from me, sooner than 6 months, this is your opportunity. And group readings are my favorite because they're full of so much activation and healing and block releasing work and all sorts of like really cool deep magic stuff. Um, it's neat. So if you guys want to join that, all the information is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Or nope, Pacific. There we are. 5% Pacific. I don't live on the East Coast. Are you doing anything cool? Is there anything you want to plug? I'm just like plugging away over here.
So yeah, I love that. I mean, please do, because a lot of my folks love to see what you're up to as well. And I know you have a newsletter that's going out on a weekly basis now. Mine is still going
Oh
out
yeah.
quarterly. That may change, but that the
Mhm.
Patreon communities, the courses that I'm doing, I have a readers team. We are 5 strong now, and they are all wonderful. And I know our schedules are pretty booked out, except for your group calls. So for
Mhm.
anybody, especially who wants to work with me, you're always welcome to. I still have openings a bit later on in the year, but I also vouch for everybody on my team. I think they're wonderful. So if you're looking for further perspective, especially during these times that we are in, there are folks that can help you. So
Yeah,
yeah, cool.
definitely.
Well, this has been
Yay!
great. It's always good to
It's been
see you.
super great. I know, it's great to see you too. We can always talk for like way longer, and then I'm like, oh man, the hour went by really, really
Yeah.
fast. Okay.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Cool. Well, I
Cool.
hope you and everybody watching take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. Rest. Rest. It's worth it.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.